Hey, what is going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo. Welcome to the channel, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of my Definitive Discussion Rebooted series here on the channel. Hopefully, you guys have been enjoying the series. Again, I've been trying to get special, great guests every single week, trying to turn it into a weekly show, get some good topics with some good guests on here. If you haven't already, check out some of the other recent episodes I put up. I just had one with Commonwealth Realm, Conrad over there. He talked with me about Nintendo. We had an amazing discussion that you guys should definitely check out. There'll be links in the description box below. But keeping it with Nintendo, I decided to go get my boy HMK. My man, what's happening?
Yo, what's really good, man? It's good to be here, and I'm ready to really get down and dirty with this particular subject, but I'm going to leave that to you.
Yeah, definitely. The reason why I brought you on, and the reason why, guys, you're going to listen to this conversation with me and HMK is because we're going to talk Super Smash Brothers. We're going to have a definitive discussion on the entire series, just in general. We're going to talk about a lot of the important stuff, and it's cool because what makes this different between me and him is that we have the experience, unlike a lot of other people, of playing Smash Brothers Ultimate, because we went to E3 a couple months ago. We got to play it. We got some hands on top of it. You won a tournament. Oh, yes. You got a medal. So, there's a lot to unpack here, but hopefully you guys will enjoy this episode. Again, hit me up in the comment section down below and let me know what's really good if you guys enjoy this stuff or any other thoughts about anything we discussed. But HMK, Smash Brothers, okay, me and you, I think, have played every single iteration since the N64, correct?
Oh, definitely. I was super excited when the N64 was promoted and when it finally came out. Tell me if you remember that the first ever teaser. It was this.
Yeah.
It was a 30-second teaser on TV where it's no arenas, no crowds, right? And it was this really dumb looking teaser, even though it said no arenas, even though we had stages in it, and then it showed the the beginning of the Smash intro. They slowed down those character portraits, and then it showed Mario doing his taunt where he grows big, and then Donkey Kong just about to do the giant punch on him, and it just cuts off. And no one knew what this game was at the time. I'm like, wait, what is this? Mario Donkey Kong fight? It's
I think that might have been shown at an E3 or a Shoshinkai, because I think during that time, when N64 was still around, Shoshinkai was still around, because I think that's where the N64 debuted. So if it wasn't shown here a lot in the States, it was definitely shown at that.
No, it was. I remember it was a commercial. It was on it was straight up on TV.
Not the one with the suits, not the one that everybody remembers that they always refer to. You know which one I'm talking about, the funny one, where they're beating each other up, that's the one everybody goes to.
Yeah, but that one was also in America too.
Yeah,
that was on TV. Yeah, but the one I'm talking about came way before that one. So that one, it was weird. It was a teaser on TV, but I was super hyped. Anyways, I was super hyped for Smash Bros. When it finally came out. But I have to admit, when I first came out, I was going in with the weird thought, because in N64 games you always attack with the B button, right? Yeah. And then when I first got my hands on Smash, I kept pressing the B button. And it was everyone knows it's just the special attacks. So I'm like, what's going on? And then when you press A, I was trying to jump, and A is regular attack. I'm like, whoa, what is this game? So it was a weird experience, but I was hooked on Smash Bros. Since the beginning.
Yeah, me too. Again, it was one of those games on my N64, because I didn't have a lot of N64 games in the very beginning, because I got into the N64 late. I think I got the bundle with the gold controller from Toys R Us, and my first two games was Turok and Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, but eventually I started getting the Nintendo first parties, and Smash was a big part of that. I think I got Mario Kart 8, or not Mario Kart 8, but Mario Kart and Super Mario 64 late in the game, but Smash was really the game that really thrust me into that Nintendo first party realm. And one of the things I loved about it was that there was obviously an assortment of characters of games that obviously I never played before, but there was such variety there. Again, very similar to some of the earlier fighting games of the mid 90s to the late 90s, I want to say, give or take. And I just loved, just the goofiness of it. I mean, again, it was a competitive game, as a party game. I think that Smash as a series really started as just a party series before now, where it's become a lot more competitive, and it's become a lot more kind of an esports type of game. Back then, it was still competitive, but it was still a sense of just it's just funny seeing Mario and Pikachu just go at it, or Mario and Kirby just go at it. It's just, there's a certain charm there. When the other games eventually came out, though, when we started getting to Melee, which is where I think things really started to pop off and stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Did you notice a lot of the perception of Smash Brothers start to change?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like you said, Smash Bros. Smash N64 was very goofy looking. It was extremely goofy looking, in all aspects. But when Melee came out 2 years later, it had that that overall essence of it was very mature, it was very refined. They added so many things.
Look better.
It looked infinitely better. I mean, we saw a lot of characters away from that weird polygon look for the first time. It wasn't HD, but it was definitely 128-bit.
Due to the GameCube.
Exactly. So for the first time, we actually saw characters in smooth models and stuff like that, not that blocky look. So it was very, it had a lot of eye candy to it. It was
Definitely.
very bright, very vibrant, but at the same time, very mature looking and stuff. And it just had that overall super competitive, feel aesthetic to it, especially with like the menus and the announcers and stuff like that. It was just like, they took everything from Smash 64 and multiplied it by 100 and stuff, and then people still play Melee to this day, and it's is incredibly wild to this. So N64 was the first game, but I feel that with Melee that truly put Smash Bros on the map.
You know what I think it was also too, besides like the multiplayer and the competitive nature of that, playing against the computers and stuff, I felt like there was a lot more content going into Melee because we had all the different types of modes, we had the events and all those different things that I felt like really made that game into something a little bit much more grander, like a special event that really kind of like brought everybody together. And obviously the increase in the roster size, again, we were getting characters that were really obscure, for the time. Again, looking at Marth and Roy back then, like nobody really heard of Fire Emblem before Super Smash Bros. Melee. Like there was I don't even think that the what was it, Fire Emblem, I think it was like Shadows of Valencia, or even it was just called Fire Emblem at the time, for the Game Boy Advance. Nobody really cared about that franchise until they played it on Smash Brothers, and people started to question stuff like that. And I would even argue with some of the other characters that were included in there, like some of the Pokemon, obviously some of the other characters besides that. But I still think that it was a lot of fun. I still think that was really where that series started to really take off and stuff. And you could even say the same thing even when it went into Brawl, because even Brawl, like they went even beyond that. And I think that's the first game where you start to get a lot more third-party character stuff, or at least the beginnings of that, where it's like, oh, okay, now this is becoming more of a mascot-style game. Do you feel like, though, that there was any negatives going from that 64/Melee era going into Brawl and then eventually 3DS and Wii U?
Well, I mean, definitely like the huge, the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to going from Melee to Brawl is, of course, how much, it appealed to casual audiences and stuff, and how it slowed down the gameplay. A lot of people complain about that. Like it was like it was a lot less competitive, and and you guys can't see me, but I'm using my quotation mark hands. Stuff, it was less competitive, even though it showed off a lot of characters that will end up being beloved by Smash up until now, including Snake, Zeus Samus,
Sonic. Obviously, that was a big deal.
Yeah, Meta Knight, there was a lot of good characters that came out of Brawl, but, a lot of people were like, they constantly shit on Brawl because of its, like, it's slower nature when compared to that of Melee. But people need to understand, like, when different games come out in a series, they're different games, So,
yeah, exactly.
They have to be approached and played differently or whatever. A lot of people are still screaming for things like a Melee 2 or a Melee 2.0, and we're never going to get that. Each Smash game is going to be different.
They tried with Project M, but that was again, that was an off-brand fan take on the game.
Project, whatever. So that I guess that will be the biggest negative to that. Other than that, Smash Brawl, it was the next step in evolution for Smash in its entirety. Not just from going from Melee to Brawl, but just the next step for Smash as a whole. Because we had a lot more interactive features and stuff like that. Like we can constantly unlock music. We have
Subspace Emissary,
the Subspace Emissary, which was really cool. It had a lot more features, ways to win trophies and stuff instead of just rolling for them from that slot machine. Whatever, you can actually, do a lot more interactive stuff. It was not just a fighting game. It just had a lot more bang for your buck in terms of everything that it offered. It had those demos of games of characters where they came from for you guys to learn more about where these specific characters that you might not know about, of course, Earthbound and Fire Emblem, more of the obscure titles compared to Pokemon, Mario, or Zelda or anything like that. So it was a very cool, I love Brawl to this day, but people just constantly clowning it because of its lack of, competitive nature when compared to its predecessor, but it was still a huge step forward for what Nintendo can do when they have that bang for your buck mentality and gathering all these fighters. I mean, for God's sake, Snake and Sonic, come on.
Sonic, bro, I think was the bigger deal than Snake. I mean, granted, Snake was a PlayStation character, and I know that was a big deal, but this is coming after the console era.
Look. Sonic at the point where Brawl was at, I feel Sonic was pretty much a given. Because of Mario and Sonic's rivalry and their history, right? But Snake, Metal Gear Solid, look. When you
it was a PlayStation character on a Nintendo game,
not not the fact that it's a PlayStation character. Like when you look at Nintendo, when you look at Smash, all these characters, of course, they can get mature to a degree. And when I'm saying that, I'm saying things like Metroid or
F-Zero.
Metroid, F-Zero, or Fire Emblem, right? They can get mature to a degree. But then when you get a character like Snake, that takes it that's like over the line, and he made it into Smash. And he was definitely the most hardcore mature character from a hardcore mature video game series to be in Smash until they put Bayonetta in Smash Wii U. Putting Snake in a game like Smash and a game like Nintendo, where it's all these Nintendo mascots, was wild.
Here's the thing that I should clarify, and the reason why I feel like Sonic was a little bit more important, because this was coming off of the console war era. Like, granted, we were already into the GameCube, like we're already past the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, but there was an inane hatred between Sega and Nintendo for a very long time on the business side of things, especially in the Japanese side of things. Not so much here in America. There was like an inane hatred. There was a real animosity there, and for a lot of people that grew up, me and you and a lot of other people that grew up with those consoles, we knew that was like, there's no way we're going to ever see Sonic and Mario kind of interact together in a game until seeing that. At that time, though, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, by the time of Brawl, it was like, it can happen, because I mean, like, Sega has, at that point, Sega been dropped out of the console race. So like, they just reverted to a developer slash publisher. And so at that point, I felt it happened. So for me, I felt that Snake had a way bigger impact.
I can understand that. I could definitely understand that, and I could agree to a point but that's just, again, me and my preference, or just me in my perspective where I'm coming from, just knowing the animosity between those two companies like that. But I want to go back to Melee to Brawl for a second, because I feel like also bouncing off of what you said, I think that was also a necessary step in that evolution, because obviously we got a lot more single player content going into Brawl like that with the Subspace Emissary, even more events, I think, so at that point as well, because of all the extra characters, including the third party characters, that just made that type of content related to the game a lot more grander, a lot more interesting and dynamic. But also, I think at that time for Nintendo, or at least where Sakurai and the rest of the team was coming from, they wanted that series still to be kind of like appealing to a mass audience. So making it quote unquote less competitive, or kind of dumbing it down for like what a lot of people say, taking away wave dashing and a lot of the other intricacies of what made Melee so competitive in later years like that, because it wasn't like that during launch, or at least within the first couple of years. I don't remember Melee being that competitive to the same level of what it's kind of like looked at now when that game first came out on the GameCube. It was a lot more of a party game. It was a chill game. It was that game that you pulled out when you were having like people over at your house and stuff. And I still think that Nintendo was still kind of trying to maintain that type of, that type of outlook with the series going into Brawl. And then obviously going to 3DS and Wii U, that changed the stuff. Do you think that benefited the series, or did that harm the series in some regard?
Oh, I think it definitely benefited the series, because, Nintendo's stance on the competitive scene and stuff like that was always very, loose in those days. It's only up until now where we're at legit now, where Nintendo's actually trying to embrace the competitive scene or whatever. So I definitely understand their strategy or mindset when it comes to, like, try to cater to the most audiences they can with their games, especially Smash. It benefited them in the long run, because they have the install base for Smash across various markets. They have the competitive scene, even though they felt like they were I wouldn't say forgotten, but I don't want to say forsaken either, but just
they're very pulled away from it at the time.
They felt like they were pulled away from a little bit with the advent of Brawl and then eventually Smash Wii U and Smash 3DS. But I mean, like, Nintendo was trying to do their best, and I felt they hit the nail on the coffin, or hit the nail on the board, or whatever, when it comes to applying their Smash legacy in various different markets. The casual scene, the competitive scene, the hardcore scene,
getting everybody into it for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. The people who appreciate Nintendo history, the people who appreciate video game history, people who appreciate this kind of celebration of all these video game characters come together, and then people who appreciate more bang for your buck, people who appreciate There's so many things that Smash caters to at this point in time, and Nintendo had to take that one step at a time. And of course, they had to, they either had to double down on certain aspects, lighten up on certain aspects and stuff. So I felt it definitely benefited in the long run. A lot of people who say that it wasn't beneficial, or like it hurt it in the long run, are those people who just won't get those people who won't let Melee go. So
yeah, I think they're not seeing the full picture and stuff. And I think it's also good. It is a good segue because now that we go now into the discussion about Smash 3DS, Smash Wii U, and then also Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is going to be on Switch very, very soon at the time we're recording this and stuff, I feel like a lot of the transition from Brawl to this game or this part of the series, there was a lot of stubbornness, I feel like, with Nintendo at the time. Because again, you heard stories about Nintendo not letting people stream the game. You heard stories about Nintendo not wanting people to stream it at tournaments and stuff, which is a big deal for that scene. And I felt like there was a lot of growth and kind of like, miscommunication and then eventually understanding with Nintendo as a company and the way that it interacts with its fan base or at least their customers with Smash Bros. Specifically. And I know that could be applied to other series that they have underneath their belt. But with Smash Bros., I felt like it was a very big deal because people obviously love the series and it's a compilation and a celebration of everything that is Nintendo. But I felt like that was the one time, besides going from like Melee to Brawl or even just 64 to Melee, where it had the most growth, even if it wasn't intrinsically with the game itself. One of the things I wanted to ask you is that, do you felt like, now that things got a little bit more open with the third-party characters, because now we start getting crazy ones besides Snake, now we start getting Cloud, which to me was the biggest mic drop of the entire series, to me, anyway. And then you get others eventually. But, it starts getting a little bit more ridiculous. But do you feel like at this point, do you think it's going to get even more crazier over time? Or do you feel like there's still a point where it's that old Nintendo stubbornness will kind of kick in?
I feel, Nintendo, I want to say that Nintendo hasn't dropped any hints that they're going to go back to that level of stubbornness that they had back in the day. They show signs that they're still hanging on to some of it, but I don't think they're going to regret. Yeah, they're not going to regress to more stubbornness. They're still retaining some of it, but I feel like as time goes by, they're only going to loosen up a little bit. But when it comes to third-party characters, my personal preference is that they don't turn Smash into Mugen or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you said, Cloud. I feel like Cloud, out of all the third-party characters, that Cloud is the biggest, whoa of the Smash series. Like
nobody expected. I remember the reactions. I remember yours. I remember Etika's. I remember everybody's reaction when that happened. It was like, wow, like this is a moment in gaming history because you would never see a collaboration like that at this point in time. And then eventually afterwards, we started seeing other companies do their own things and their own application stuff. But for Nintendo specifically, that's like a big whoa. Like that's a huge deal.
Man, because it's funny because Cloud's reveal, I felt, overshadowed Bayonetta's, who won the Smash ballot.
Yeah, definitely.
His reveal overshadowed hers completely because, Cloud, I at first when I saw Cloud get announced, I thought he won the Smash ballot, and that's like
me too.
But then when we found out that he did it, I'm like, wow, Nintendo actually went out of their way to get Cloud in this game. That's crazy because, when you were talking earlier about the history between Mario and Sonic, I felt that. There was way more animosity between Nintendo and Square Enix over Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There was a lot of bad blood, between Nintendo and Final Fantasy VII as a specific. And the fact that Cloud has never been on a Nintendo console in a lead role. A lot of people try to misconstrue that Cloud has been on a Nintendo console before, but in very minimal roles.
Yeah, like the Rhythm Final Fantasy and stuff like on 3DS, like minor games, not like a big game.
Because he was on He was in Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
So, Kingdom Hearts and whatnot. But, excuse me. But Cloud's never been in a main role in a Nintendo on a Nintendo console. So to see him miraculously be in Smash was such a crazy deal. And then I feel that right there, Cloud is the living proof, legitimately, that Nintendo is willing to let go of animosity, willing to let go of that stubbornness, willing to let go of, that I wouldn't say tradition, but willing to open up to new ideas. Cloud is the living proof. So I'm I lost my mind when I saw Cloud,
It's a sign of the times. It's a real big sign of the times, especially for Nintendo specifically, where things, like you said, that they're changing up, they're doing business a little bit differently. We're starting to see a lot more collaboration, especially after that, between different companies, where you're starting to see characters appear and make cameos in other games, or at least see two companies work together that you would never get before. And we get these interesting results. And with Smash Brothers, and now going into Smash Brothers Ultimate, where now everybody's coming out. Like, I never thought we would ever see Snake again.
Yeah,
it's like a recurrence.
Really
To me, that was a cool announcement or a cool reveal when we were at E3 and we saw that, and we got to play with Snake, which was even more dope. Like that, it just got even more crazier than that. And I feel like, after this game, because Smash Brothers Ultimate is the most recent game at the time we're recording this, but even when we go into the future, whatever the next Nintendo console is, I feel like a lot more of those barriers that were there before for many, many years, that, or at least, implied barriers, I should say, those have been kind of like broken down at this point, and I feel like things are going to get even better. But as someone besides myself that's actually touched Smash Brothers Ultimate, that's got a significant amount of hands-on time with it and such, do you feel like now, looking in hindsight to the entire series, that everything's come a long way, not just with gameplay, but just even with presentation, just even with, the hype behind it and where it's going to go eventually?
Oh, definitely, man. When I played Smash Ultimate for the first time, or when we were waiting in line to get our hands on Smash Ultimate, bro, just the fact, like, I feel the thing that really encompasses the whole notion of how far Smash has come, dude. Just the fact, the what do you call it? The intro and the winner segment of matches,
the win quotes or whatever, like kind of like a Street Fighter,
the win quotes and the intros before the match starts. Yo, that shit hurt my eyes. Like, I'm like, bro, that's dope. That was dope, and it was like, it was bright, it was vibrant, it was electric, it was hype. It's just the outro and the intros. I'm like, yo, that. Like, and that's just after the gameplay overall looks a lot better, and Smash Wii U was super notable for adding a lot of eye candy from Brawl to Smash Wii U, because we had the what are they called, the attack trails and the attack colors and the vibrancy and all that stuff, and like at my point, I'm like, how can Smash look better than this? And then Smash Ultimate comes out, I'm like, damn.
Here's a good thing, because you just made me think of something right now. Yeah. That at this point, with all the good stuff, because there's a lot of good stuff with Smash Ultimate after having played it and such. But what do you think is the one thing, or at least one or two things that you could think of that you don't want Smash Brothers as a series to go from here? Like, something that you don't want to see kind of done, or something that you don't want to see happen. Because for me, I want more single player content like that, and I love that Nintendo's kind of like paying attention to that competitive community, having a lot of great stuff, because there's a lot of different details, a lot of changes that I feel like Nintendo was listening to a lot of their fans when it comes to multiplayer and the competitive scene. But I don't want that single player scene, or that single player person, or that type of gamer that isn't going to be going to tournaments and stuff to be neglected. Like, that would be the thing for me that I would kind of like, keep my eye on and stuff. But what would it be for you?
Well, the main thing that will be for me, which is already something they're going to break, according to an interview with Sakurai, and saying if and when we get another Smash game, the one thing I don't want to happen, but it's going to happen because you already confirmed that's going to happen, is that I don't want them to take a step back in terms of scale or content and stuff. And they already kind of confirmed that, if when we get a Smash game after this, it's probably going to not include this many characters. Hence the name.
It's not going to be Marvel 2.
Hence the name. It's not going to be. Hence the name. Smash Ultimate. This is truly the Ultimate game where everyone is back. We're probably not going to see that again in another Smash game. So,
do you think that at that point, then, even if we get like less characters or less stages and stuff, like, where do you want to see it go from at that point? Do you want to see like, a single player story type of thing, kind of like Subspace Emissary, but with like voice acting, or even just like a plot built around it, something like those lines? Not necessarily that, but like, along that kind of like line of thinking.
I would love to see that, but it's not something I'm really pushing for, because first and foremost, Smash is a multiplayer game. I would love for them to go back into the whole adventure mode pot, where it's like it's either Subspace. I'm saying, hell, I would even be good with a melee style adventure mode, because that one was very cool and endearing. Yeah. We're traveling through various Nintendo worlds and seeing what's happening to them, and maybe doing something like that where there's different pathways, where like, you start at Mushroom Kingdom. Now there's a fork in the road. You either go to Zebes or you go to Hyrule, and then more forks in the road. Something like that, where you don't really need like a fully fleshed story, but like traveling through Nintendo worlds. I'll be fine with something like that at the very least. Something that I wouldn't want them to do is I said this before. The thing is, add way too many third party characters. The amount we have right now is a good amount. They can add to it, maybe one or two characters an installment, or maybe just one installment. I wouldn't want them to, get too many third-party characters or get too crazy with third-party characters.
That reminds me then, like,
Yeah.
okay, what do you think of the third-party characters just as a whole? Like, looking at the entire series, I mean, again, we got, like, Sonic, we got Snake, we got Bayonetta, we got Cloud, you know, we got all these different types of third-party characters. That seems like a good variety, you know, pull from various corners of gaming and stuff. Is there a point where, like, you know, there should be, like, a barrier? It was like, okay, this type of third-party character shouldn't be in there, or this type of, like, character maybe isn't kind of suited for Smash Bros. I feel like, at this point, you could put almost any type of mascot or any type of, like, you know, character in Smash, and it could work at this point. But I think it's a very gray area to find, like, okay, where's that line where it's kind of like too much?
The line. All right, the line. There's two things to my line, because, you know, like I had multiple visible rules, but like as Smash kept going, they kept breaking them, and I'm like,
yeah, right.
So these are the two invisible rules that I have. All right.
Yeah.
One, they have to originate as a video game character.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think you should get like Goku or Shrek.
Right.
I heard about that in the Smash. That was ridiculous.
Right. And the only other rule at this point in time, thanks to everything that's been broken down, they have to have some sort of history, good or bad, some sort of history with Nintendo.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think that's reasonable, because at least I feel like that's like, not only it could be applied to Smash Bros. And to a Nintendo platform, but I also think that limiting it to just game characters keeps things, you know, within reason, where Nintendo could go to a company and be like, hey, listen, we would love to work with you and collaborate like that, because then I think you get into crazy obscure territory when you go beyond that.
Right. So like, you know, the thing with Cloud, as a character, you know, of course, he never really had a good relationship with Nintendo, but I mean, that thing, it was very known, that history. So like, you know, him bringing in Cloud for that is, you know, there we go. Bayonetta, she had her big, you know, revival in a game series on the Wii U. Ryu from Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2 was insane on the Super NES. So, you know, like, it was a big deal. Right. You know, Pac-Man, a big competitor to Nintendo back in the days, you know, where there was like arcade cabinets. Mega Man, Sonic, you know, Mega Man was a huge deal on the Super NES. Sonic's history with Mario and all that stuff. I feel the only one that kind of breaks that rule a little bit, well, not too much, because we had Metal Gear Solid 2 on the GameCube, and that was a huge deal, you know. So
Twin Snakes, yeah. Well, it was Metal Gear Solid 1. It was Twin Snakes. It was like the reimagining of Metal Gear Solid 1. Yeah,
there you go. I keep confusing because it's like Twin Snakes 2, Snakes Live. Yeah. So they all have some sort of history with Nintendo. So like, that's my only two rules. Like, originate as a video game character, have some sort of history, good or bad, with Nintendo in order to be in Smash. So, you know, if we were to get someone that's, you know, a super off-brand, like probably from the Xbox side, you know how Xbox is being like really buddy with Nintendo as of late. You know, a lot of people like Master Chief. I'm like, hey, look, if we're gonna get an Xbox,
get Conquer, because Conquer's back for a day.
Not even Conquer, Banjo-Kazooie, bro.
Banjo-Kazooie, yeah, I could totally roll with that. Yeah. Either one could be good. You know what I think is a good way that we could also, as the best way to wrap this up, because I think we should also acknowledge this. You know, a lot of the clones, obviously, that were heavily inspired by Smash Bros. I think Smash Brothers started a genre. You know, the original Smash Bros. Started a genre and really made things that were crazy, phenomenal, crazy awesome for a lot of people that really got inspired, and they started creating other games that were done in the same type of spirit as Smash Bros. Because, I mean, we got Brawl Out coming out very, very soon, it's like right around the corner, which is really a compilation of indie characters from the indie scene that's like doing that same type of deal. And I think that's pretty cool. And one of the other things I always thought was interesting was that besides, you know, a lot of Nintendo first-party characters, but there isn't a lot of indie love in any of the Smash Brothers games for obvious reasons. But do you think that over time that might change? Like, you know, we'll get somebody like crazy, you know, and I'm only just pulling this out of my head because I know that it's going to get a Switch version very, very soon, like Dust from Dust and Elysian Tales show up in like a Smash Bros. As like a bonus character, or see someone like Yooka-Laylee show up as like a bonus character in like a future Smash Brothers game. But like things like that, where I feel like now that the barrier, or at least, you know, a lot of the limitations we thought were there aren't there anymore, what's to stop Nintendo from doing stuff like this and working with indies? Because they have a lot of great relationships with indie development studios now at this point for the Nintendo Switch, you know, at least at this point in time.
You know, I would just say, you know, there's a lot of indie titles. There's a huge amount of indie titles.
A ridiculous amount.
Right. So I mean, like, how would Nintendo pick and choose if they're ever gonna get that kind of like fighter representation?
Does it reduce like its charm though? Like, does it reduce its charm where it's like, okay, when we can start looking at like indie characters or anything of the sort, does it reduce the charm of Smash Brothers, or at least its vibe?
I wouldn't say if they're very particular about who they choose when it comes to like independent games. They have to have someone that's like an indie game darling, someone that's like gigantic from the indie scene. When it comes to mine, Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight,
yeah. I wouldn't hate seeing Shovel Knight in Smash because I mean, like you can't deny how gigantic Shovel Knight got and how gigantic Shovel Knight is and his humble beginnings. So seeing someone like Shovel Knight in Smash Brothers, I'm like, okay, if that's the type of indie fighter I would say Nintendo should look at. Those people that got blew up gigantically.
The one that stands out.
Right, like exactly, the people who stand out, and a lot of people, there's a lot of hate for it, but I mean, you can't deny how big the game is. Maybe someone from Undertale and stuff.
Yeah, something like that make a huge splash and such.
Right,
but something that brings up another good point that I think we should also acknowledge. What are some of the off-brand, like indie games or other like clones? We could call them Smash clones. I don't think that's a disrespectful thing to them, but some of those other games have done that Smash Brothers hasn't done yet or hasn't done as well. Like one of the things I would say is, besides being so open to the types of characters that could be included on the roster, I would also say it's like just being open to like including like different types of features. And it's very hard to say that because Smash Bros. Has done so much that people really take example from. But what is like some things that maybe you could think of that some of these other clones have done that Smash, the series itself, hasn't done yet?
I can't really think of much because Smash has done so much, and there's not really something that really strikes me as like, oh my goodness, why isn't Smash doing? You know what I mean? So I can't really.
It's very tough.
It's super tough because when it comes to additional features I want to see in Smash, especially Smash Ultimate, I want them to bring Smash Run from the 3DS into Smash Ultimate because I was a huge fan of Kirby's Air Ride and City Trial and stuff, and I was really pissed off when they decided to put Smash Tour and Smash Run. I'm like, this is garbage. So like they like put Smash Run in Ultimate, because that was huge, and of course that came from something else that Sakurai and Nintendo did in the Kirby Air Ride game. So like, okay, that's a cool idea that I want to see in Smash. I have not seen something that really catches my eye.
There's only one thing I could think of, and it actually comes from PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, and that's the kind of like the meshing of two franchises to make stages. Like the hybrid stages. That's the only thing I had never seen in a Smash Bros. Because I just thought of it now, and I think like to me something like that is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's not something I'm dying for. And of course, in the competitive scene, that thing is gonna get turned off in
right.
So and that's not really something that I'm forward to because I mean, not only do we have so many stages, and like what would go with what, and
just to see the combinations of the two though. Like to me, like if it was aesthetic and it was like not affecting the match, like with hazards and stuff, I think that'd be cool. Like to me, that'd be another visual thing that'd just make that whatever that game would be something much more even better.
I mean, it will be cool to truly push the whole crossover aspect in it, but it's not something I'm truly dying for. So it will be like a cool little feature, but it's not. It's for me, it's not something like I need this. Oh,
I could totally feel that. I can understand that. And again, it's talking about this type of stuff is exciting because, again, we don't know, obviously, what Nintendo's doing for Ultimate other than what we know and what we've seen and what we played and stuff. But it's cool to kind of, like, theorize a little bit, like, down the line of, like, what other types of games that could be based on all the good stuff that we've gotten over the years and such. But if there's one final thought, one final thing that you could say about Smash Brothers, as a series as a whole or any specific game or whatnot, what would it be, for everybody that's listening?
I'm super excited for Smash Ultimate. I cannot wait to disconnect my Wii U because, like, man, like
it's on life support,
dude. Like, no, it's because, like, a lot of us was really considering that the Switch was going to get a Smash Wii U port through and through.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm glad that we're getting something different. We're saying we're getting something huge. We're getting some Ultimate. And, and the whole combination of the fact that, when I like to stream or play Smash in general, I have to go through such a trial in order to turn on my Wii U and then take my gamepad out and then press the button and put my gamepad back and then get my, my Smash controller out, my game controller. It's just, the Wii U itself like it's such a chore to use in order to get a game running like
it's
Smash.
a nuisance now.
Yeah, it's such a nuisance. But then when I look at my Switch and how easy it is to use, I'm like, man, I can't wait to put Smash on you. So like I'm incredibly excited for that, and the fact that is gonna be Smash Ultimate, where it's gonna be the ultimate Smash Bros. Game. So I'm really excited that a game like this will fall on a system like the Switch. So
Yeah.
I'm incredibly excited for that.
Yeah, me too. And also we get GameCube support, GameCube control support. So we got like 100 different ways to play this game when it finally comes out, which is awesome because we got all the different controllers and stuff. But again, I'm with you on that one. I can't wait to play it. Again, I enjoyed what I saw at E3. When we played, it was me, you, and Sky. Got to play that, and then I played a little bit afterwards. It was really, really fun overall. This is going to be really cool, and I can't wait to hear your impressions and everybody else's impressions later in the year once it comes out, because I think it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be dope. But my boy, thank you so much for chatting it up with me about Smash Brothers. Again, it's always fun chatting up with you about games and stuff. But,
definitely, man. Definitely.
Let me know what's up. Where can everybody find you? I mean, even though it's obvious, but let all the good people know where they can find you right now.
Yeah, man. Man. The easiest thing you gotta do is just put HMK and Google. Find all my stuff. But anyways, yeah. Check me out. YouTube.com/HMK9Captain, Twitch.tv/HMKiller, and Twitch @HMKiller. You can find me there super easily. So I talk about everything: Nintendo, Smash, Kingdom Hearts, Zelda. Let's get it.
Yeah, and there'll be links in the description box below, guys. For you guys to go directly to all of his stuff to check it out and whatnot. You're streaming now. When are you actually streaming? You got a stream schedule going?
I should have one finalized because I tried to do one recently, but I should have one finalized by next week.
Nice, awesome. Should be dope. Why not? But again, thank you, HMK, for chatting Smash Brothers with me. Guys, if you can, let me know what's up in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this discussion, if you felt it was the best Super Smash Brothers discussion on the internet, tell me down below. Don't forget to leave a like on this video. Again, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, I post every single week a whole bunch of different types of videos, reviews, podcasts like this, vlogs, a bunch of great content that you guys will definitely enjoy. But with that being said, we will talk to you again very soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.